Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending Women's Empowerment in Digital Age, Best Practice for Using Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. There you go. Thank you for attending. See, that's me checking our YouTube channel and start to broadcasting. So, all right, I start again. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending Women's Empowerment in Digital Age, Best Practices for Using Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. This event is organized by PPSEAWA Taiwan, Pan Pacific Southeast Asia Women's Association Taiwan Chapter. My name is Mandy Chen. I'm the president of PPSEAWA Taiwan. PPSEAWA is an international women's organization devoted to family, peace, and understanding in the Asia-Pacific region. We have special consultation status to the UN ECOSAC with representatives at UN headquarters, ESCAPE, UNICEF, and UNESCO. Locally, PPSEAWA Taiwan has been continuing the mission. We have been promoting and realizing UN SDGs through holding workshop, youth training sections, beach cleanup, and organizing CSW parallel events every year. And this event is our 8th. For this section, a little bit of background. We all know digitalization and technology can offer amazing opportunities for gender equality and women empowerment. However, at the same time, ensuring equitable participation has many challenges, especially for women and girls in vulnerable and underserved communities. Today, we have our esteemed speakers, Dr. Heather Cameron from Washington University in St. Louis, Dr. Wei Ziwen, the CEO of Dingchen Biomedical Company at Xiuchuan Healthcare System, and who will share how innovation and social entrepreneurship can advance gender equality, and our 2 Gender Impact Accelerator winner groups, Salasusu and Wirum, who will share their experiences as young social innovators. We also have Dr. Zheng Qijia, Associate Professor of Department of Public Health at Furen Catholic University, and Dr. Lin Zhaoying, Director of Department of Social Work at the National Taipei University, who will discuss about how to bridge the differences in gender gap in digital access and scale from education and policy reforms. So without further ado, let's welcome our first speaker, Dr. Cameron. Dr. Cameron.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Mandy and the entire team here from PPSEAWA. I'm very happy to be speaking to you from Berlin, where Women's Day is just starting, and I hope that we have a great opportunity. So, go ahead, Mandy.
Thank you. Let me do a brief introduction for Dr. Cameron. Dr. Cameron is the Michael B. Kaufman Professor of Practice in Social Entrepreneurship of the Brown School of Social Work at Washington University in St. Louis. She was honored by the German Association of University Professor and Lecturer as a Professor of the Year. And also she was selected as Ashoka Fellow by the Ashoka Social Innovator for the Public. She's also the founder of several prize-winning social enterprises in the field of education and sports for community development, including Box Girls and Camp Group. She's an international gender education expert with expertise in urban education, community development, sports for development, social impact investment incubation strategy for social enterprises. It's our honor to have Dr. Heather Cameron speaking from Berlin in the middle of night on social innovation and entrepreneurship to advance SDG 5 gender equality. Dr. Cameron, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to hearing more about some of the amazing work that's happening in Taiwan. But I'm going to be taking sort of a more global view. And like many of us, we'll probably see lots of slides looking at the SDGs. So if we go to the next slide here. We all know about the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals, how growing out of the Millennium Development Goals
Yeah. Oh, I think the connection has a little interruption. Okay, let's see. So Heather, oh, we can't see you right now, but let's hold on a second.
Thinking also about, how is it now, Mandy? Yes.
Yay, we have you back.
Okay. Berlin shouldn't be that far away. How do you have me now with visual and some sound?
Yes, we are good now.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'm talking too quickly and the internet can't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to talk about how these SDGs are supposed to be funded. Yeah. As entrepreneurs, we're not just thinking about ideas, but like how to make prototypes and how to advance the work. And so for the Sustainable Development Goals, if we go to the next slide, there was first a focus on creating funds, and that the member governments of the United Nations would use public and private partnerships to raise money to create both direct grants and catalytic grants, and to try and incentivize policy shifts and to stimulate more investment, right? The UN itself has money, but doesn't have as much money as the member governments, or even more important, social investing funds. And so again, it's a multiple trust fund, which is pooled to allow for more cooperation. And the new version of this fund is called the Joint SDG Fund. And it's just showing, again, how much money is being put to work for people working on any of the SDGs, but especially SDGs related to gender. Next slide. So this is an example about how some of the member governments take this commitment to being part of the joint SDG fund and take money from institutional investors, from retail investors, from developing countries, funding that they have from their donor governments, commercial banks, and sovereign investment funds, all the way down to like retail investors. And the idea here is how can the SDGs be something which aren't funded solely through grants, but through investments in different forms of social business, which is what we're going to be hearing about later. Is again, how can you create a business which doesn't just have a commercial value proposition, a way that it's going to make money for its shareholders, but also a social value proposition about how it's contributing to the greater good. And so again, governments are trying to incentivize through the SDG funds how all the other funds and all forms of different impact investing and social finance can be involved, so that through this mobilization, there's alignment on certain goals and then greater impact. Next slide. So that's one way that business is using being put to work in terms of finance and funds being put to work. The other way is, again, making corporations think harder about how they can contribute to gender equality or other SDGs. So you'll see here, it's the United Nations Global Compact. And this is where different CEOs of larger corporations, generally public corporations, but they don't have to be, sign up and show how they can make a difference. So it's through learning, through this academy, through different accelerators, by learning how to advance their work by working with others, and then peer learning groups from these different business leaders to figure out how they can better codify how they're contributing to the SDGs. So if we look further on the next slide, some of the resources that they make addresses directly what we'll be talking about later today, namely alongside preventing discrimination, so like stopping the bad stuff, supporting women's employment, which should be obvious, but is needed in many countries, maybe not Taiwan, but in other places, and promoting gender equality. What we're thinking about is developing products, right? So the next slide just puts a big arrow on it. So advance the slide, please. Yep. And then in order to create new products, the way entrepreneurs do that is through accelerators. And for those of you who aren't kind of in the entrepreneurial scene, accelerators are basically like little learning labs for startups. They allow startups to work together on developing business models and investor strategies, which will help them grow. We're going to hear about many examples of different companies, very small companies, and also bigger, more successful companies, which are addressing problems that women and girls face and men and boys face, but not through needing grants, but through creating earned income streams. And so there are official SDG accelerators, which are run through the United Nations Office for Development. But then there are also other ones which are kind of in its model. So if we look at the next slide, we'll see that especially for women, there's been lots of issues and barriers towards technology and entrepreneurship. First of all, a lack of access to technology. Many parents feel that they're protecting their girl children by not allowing them to be on social media, right? And many schools, unfortunately, also are biased to
Okay, Heather, the connection broke again. Okay. Let's wait for Heather to come back. This is, we already get used to this happening with all the online meeting and room meetings. So let's see if we can get Heather back here.
place we were working from before.
She's back. She's back. Okay. Okay. Oh, there she is. Welcome back, Heather.
I'm sorry for these disruptions.
That's
We
okay.
were talking freely before. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, go
In
ahead.
any case, I wanted to say that there's all of this money that's flowing, and in order for women to get access to it, we need to remove some of these barriers to technological entrepreneurship. So getting more girls and women access to technology, entrepreneurship as a career choice, fighting against old cultural norms about what women and girls can and can't do or study. And then research that I'm working on too about women's and girls' access to finance. How do we find alternative forms of financing to allow women to start their companies? And we see this is happening all around the world, but also, as we'll hear more about in Taiwan, including the Impact Hub working to create gender-focused accelerators. So if we look at the next slide, we'll see what they were doing in Taipei. Again, thinking about how to drive gender equality through acceleration of small business. And then we'll be hearing now a little bit more about the Gender Accelerator. So we'll look at the next slide for that, where two of our participants will be talking about how they benefited through a incubation process. So I apologize for the technological problems, but I look forward after hearing from my colleagues to be able to take any questions that you might have. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Cameron. Sorry about the interruptions, but we'll just go ahead with the next two groups, and then you can give them feedbacks afterwards during the Q&A section. So next we have our 2021 GIA Gender Impact Accelerator winner group, Sala Susu. Salasusu is a social enterprise originated from Japan, which is also a 2022 Japan Social Product Award Social Design Prize winner and a 2022 Japan Excellent NPO Award winner. Representing Salasusu is Zhao Pingjun. Pingjun is the Taiwan country manager of Salasusu. She is also joining from UK in the middle of the night. Let's welcome Pingjun from Salasusu.
Hi everyone. Good morning, Taiwan, and thank you, Mandy. Yeah, I think I'm now in UK, and the Women's Day just started here as well as in the Germany. Yeah. So, okay, can someone share my slide? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Thanks for having me. And this time, then we are Salasusu, and we are the Japanese social enterprise based in Cambodia. And next slide. So let me introduce myself. I'm Zhao Pingjun, and you can call me Ping. And I'm the country manager of Salasusu. And currently, I'm also the student in the Institute of the Development in the UK. So yeah, and thanks for this opportunity. And we are the gender impact winner of the 2021. Yeah, and next slide. So before we start to introduce our brand, can I share the video with everyone? And the video, can we start from the 14 seconds? Yeah. This is Cambodia. Our factory. All of our products are handmade from our producers. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoy our concept video, and this video was filmed in Cambodia. I hope maybe in the future, if you have a chance to go to Cambodia, especially in the Siem Reap, Siem Reap is very famous for the Angkor Wat, and we very welcome everyone to come to our factory and visit our producer. It's all free, and we will provide a guide to everyone. Yeah, and I want to introduce Salasusu in the beginning. And actually, Salasusu is a Khmer language. Khmer is a Cambodian local language, and Sala means school, Susu means cheer up. So actually, in other words, we are the school means cheer up. We hope to encourage all producer or everyone to enjoy their life journey. So as you can see in this picture, and this fashionable bag and the sandal the women wear are all the product from our factory. and all of the material and the factory is a local factory from Cambodia. So we use the local factory and to make it for like a fashionable product and sell to the world. And the next slide. And also this bag, and you can see the bottom of the bag. And maybe everyone know the very famous fabric in Japan is like a tatami. Yeah, and also this button is a rush, and the same is like similar to tatami, but it grows in Cambodia. And we use that and to combine with the cotton and to make a fashionable bag. As yeah. So the next slide, please. Yeah, so all of the product from our factory, but we are not only call ourselves as a factory, but also we are a school. We are the school to provide the education to all of the women, our producer women in our factory. And next slide. And as you can see, yeah, those beautiful women that our producer, and they are also our students in our empowerment programs. Yeah, next slide, please. And the next one. I want to skip this one. Yeah. So in Salasus, we provide a 2 years empowerment program. So we start from providing them a safe and people-oriented working environment. And then during these 2 years, we provide the vocational training and the life skill training. And in our vocational training, and we help them to develop and enhance their manufacturing skill, and all of the product you can see in the handicraft from our producer. And for the life skill training program, I will introduce more in the next slide, but I want to share like that after these 2 years, we encourage all of our producers to depart, and as we can say, like a graduate. We hope they can graduate from a school instead of just stay here for their whole life. Yeah, so you can see the charts in the below, and in these 2 years, we will review the how much hours and of their study. So at least they will gain around 750 hours for their life skill training, and about twice more hours on the production training. And then not only the life skill training or vocational training, we also provide a supporting system to all of our producers in our factory. For example, as you can see that we provide the parenting. And what is the parenting? Yeah, and actually we have a small area, and we encourage that all of our producers, they can bring their children come to our factory, because majority of our producers, maybe they are the mother of more than 2 or 3 children in their family. So we hope they can also take their children come to the factory when they are working, and we hire a professional babysitter, and they will look after their children during they are working. So all of the mother, they will feel more comfortable and more safe if they can take care of their children, and then they can work in the same time. Yeah, the next slide, please. And sorry, the next slide, I want to skip this one. Yeah, so in terms of our life skill training, and we have 6 main courses in our life skill training. So for example, like a basic mind, the reading or the writing, or the problem solving or confidence building. And all of our life skill training was designed as an interactive game. For example, we use a bingo game or the role play. We want to build out the happier or easier atmosphere in our learning space, because most of our producer, they maybe they have their education when they was little before, but most of them maybe they dropped off from the before grade 6, yeah, about grade 6, so they don't have much opportunity to get the higher education. So we want to provide them easier atmosphere once they come back to the education system. Yeah. Okay, and the next slide. Yeah, so this is our impact proposition, and as I mentioned earlier, this bachelor program is in the 2 years. So before they join our program, maybe they are from the low income family or they have the low self-confidence. But in these 2 years, after we providing like the life skill training or the manufacturing skill training, and they can gain more possibility in the future. And our goal is to encourage them to graduate, because after graduate, maybe they can get more more special possibility for their life. And actually since 2018, and there are already more than 100 producers that graduated from our school. And most of them, they may go to the bigger factory to have another job, or they may start their small business by themselves. And some of them, they even go to pursue the higher education level, for example, like a university in Cambodia. Yeah. And the next slide, please. Yeah. So this is how we work together. Maybe everyone will think about why a Taiwanese works in the Japanese with the Japanese enterprise in Cambodia. Yes, and actually, yeah, under this digital age, and we work from 3 countries, and we have 3 country staff in our company, and we build out the online shop, and we develop the international business system. We export our product from Cambodia to Japan and Taiwan. And the next slide. So this is what we want to do in the future, and this is our business blueprint, and start from providing the education and the working opportunity to the young women. And we echo not only the gender equality, but also we have 5 SDG goals, and we hope to deliver this value from Cambodia to the world. Yeah, and that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ping, for a great presentation. And I'll Heather share the website link to everybody. We'll share that on our PPSEAWA Facebook too, so everybody can see your beautiful product and what a great work you're doing. So, and Ping, I will ask you to stay up a little bit longer to join our Q&A section later. Okay. And so for the next, we will have our 2022 GIA winner, We Room. Okay. We Room is founded by 3 wonderful young ladies, Huang Shaohua, Zhou Rongshen, and Monica Tsai. We Room is also the 2022 finalist of the Way Proposer Award Social Engagement Group. And representing We Room is Huang Shaohua. She will talk about how to advocate women body autonomy with digital resources as an art social enterprise. Shaohua, the floor is yours.
Hi, okay. I will start to share my slides. Can you see the slides now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I will start the presentation. And good morning, everyone. We are We Room, and I'm Xiao, and I'm one of the co-founder. And it's a great pleasure to be presenting our project to you today. And We Room is a women-led team aiming to awaken the community about overcoming the anxiety and concerns over negative body image with the guidance of practice and art. Sorry. And We Room stands for women. Does the slides stop right? Sorry for that. Okay. So We Room stands for Women Empowerment Room, and the name expresses our expectation to create a safe and friendly space for all women to express themselves and to ask questions and to look after their own breast health with full support they need. WeRoom is built with the goal to raise the awareness of women empowerment, advocating for knowledge and strengths about women's bodily autonomy and well-being. We hope to collaborate with like-minded experts and through art workshops to create a safe space for women to re-examine their views over themselves and to reconnect with their body with the sense of self-worth, and eventually to empower them to have the ability to influence social change for themselves and others, to focus more on the health of their breast. And before further introduction, I would like to share a video with you.
在台湾举办一个像这样的活动，因为我觉得对我们来说，了解自己的身体啊，然后了解自己身为女性会遇到的一些问题、困境，或者我们的日常。
Sir, I just want to check. Can you hear the voice of the video? Ah, thank you.
也是很重要的一件事，
对自己的身材不满，常会觉得说我的腰间肉太多啊，我的胸部太小啊，然后我觉得我的身材比例不好啊，等等的，总是会心中一直在做一些自我的评价跟批判，然后总是觉得自己不够好，甚至对身材有些焦虑。我们其实很少在思考说关于自己身体的一些状况。从这个绘画的方式，能够跟自己，就是做一个对话，知道说，其实每个人本来就是长得都不一样，每个人的样子都是好的。那我们透过这样子的方式，能够让自己更爱自己。
关于乳房啊，或者关于我的身体为什么长这样，然后我为什么喜欢它，或是为什么不喜欢它，其实都是一些你可以再深入去思考，然后去更了解自己的一个议题。
很希望说，透过这样的艺术坊，可以把这样子的一个体验，然后把这样子的一个观念，可以分享给更多的朋友们一起来了解。
Okay, so WeRoom are a fully women-led social team, and our partners have backgrounds all related to women and gender issues, including Monica as a sex educator, Rongshan as an artist for gender equality, and me as a bit-profit researcher. So the team was formed with the mutual belief to bring positive impact to the local women community. Okay, sorry for that. And in comparison with the lecture and speech, we believe that promoting the importance of breast health with the implementation of art can bring a better impact to the society. So people will go through the immersive and interactive process, and that can not only boost creativity and also confidence in the participants, and also we prove that it could instill different and respectful perspectives. So during the 3-hour workshop, we lead the participants to identify with their own body image with the practice of drawing their own breasts from the personal angle, and then started the conversation with gender insecurity toward their body. And we have designed 3 types of courses for different people to experience this process. So first, you can choose to join us physically and enjoy the painting with others. And the best part is to have a place where we can exchange experience with one another and to be surrounded by supporting and to make you feel that you're not alone when having breast concerns. And you can also choose to join us online. And with all the remote meeting tools, we can meet people even physically located in different places. So you can just find a comfy corner whenever you like and join our process. And if you prefer a meet time, we suggest you can join our audio course. So we will lead you through common voice instructions and let you enjoy the creation with your own path. So we have just finished our crowdfunding project by the end of February this year. And we have learned a great lesson through the process of working with Wape, one of the biggest online crowdfunding platforms in Taiwan. And we have been grateful to gain full support by them as one of the finalists, also to their proposal competition. So the effort has led us to future collaborations from various external groups, including Li Xing, Jing Hui, who invite us to help them reduce various forms of prejudice and stereotypes within the organization. And later, I will invite Monica, also one of our co-founders, to give more introduction. Hi, Monica, can you? You are on mute. You are muted. Sorry.
We use social media as a tool to share important information and actively engage with our target audience by leveraging platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. We are able to effectively reach those we aim to connect with and provide valuable resources and updates. Next, please. Why did WeRoom come up with the idea of breast education and advocacy for women? We found that breast cancer is the #1 cancer among women in Taiwan, and that women tend to observe their own bodies less frequently than men do. Additionally, society often objectifies and sexualizes the female body, including breasts, which make it difficult for women to be aware of and in touch with their breasts, which makes it difficult for women to their own physical health. And therefore, WeRoom aims to use interesting and practical health knowledge to increase women's awareness of their own bodies. Next, please. WeRun's business model is establish a platform that brings together a community focused on raising awareness of women's health through various workshops and courses such as baking and art. WeRun provides a means for ESG-oriented companies to offer internal training, public sector organizations to promote breast health, and schools to provide related courses for female students during their growth age. This workshop and courses serve a stable source of income for WeRun's ongoing promotion efforts. Next, please. It's been an incredible journey for women. WeRun since 2022. We achieved so much in a short time, including winning the Asia Pacific Social Innovation Summit Gender Impact Accelerator and successfully organizing workshop and a crowdfunding campaign. We are really grateful for everyone's support and excited to continue making a positive impact in the years to come. Next, please. Our vision is to prioritize women's body issues and raise awareness of body autonomy and health. We plan to engage with target audience and respond to relevant policies in the short term and cultivate diverse collaboration in the midterm and amplify our course by collaborating with more partners in the long term. Next, please. Thank you for taking the time to learn about WeRun. We invite you to connect with us on Instagram or Facebook to stay updated on our latest offerings, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Monica. Thank you, Xiaohua. Thank you for your presentation. We'll ask you to stay for the Q&A later too. So now let's welcome our next speaker, Dr. Wei Ziwen. Okay. Do we have Dr. Wei?
Yes, hi, Mandy.
Oh, hi. Okay. All right. Dr. Wei will speak to us about Asian female entrepreneur creating IT platforms from safety to healthcare. Dr. Wei has a degree of BBA in Information Management from National Taiwan University and MBA in International Management from Thunderbird School of Global Management at Arizona State University and a PhD in Business Administration from National Taiwan University. She is currently the CEO of Dingchen Biomedical Company and Shouchuan Healthcare System and Assistant Professor of National Zhongxin University. She has served as CEO, CFO of multiple biomedical healthcare companies with expertise in healthcare, IT management, venture capital, private equity, and investment. Let's welcome Dr. Wei.
Thank you, Mandy, and thank you very much for the PPSEAWA. Hi, everyone. Today, I would like to give you a talk about the Asian female entrepreneurs creating IT platform from safety to healthy. I'm Dr. Susan Wei. Next. We will talk about specifically two female entrepreneurs, Chen Huilin and Jillian T, which I found that they took the ball and ran with it. They established two different companies, Grab and Homage, and taking care of solving specific problems in different industries. And we will also talk about some other IT tools such as social media and AI to help women to create their businesses. Next. The first company I would like to talk about is Grab. It was founded and is operated by Chen Huilin. And her purpose is to start up a company or that she found that when women take taxis, they encounter safety issue and also traffic jams, and it's hard to estimate waiting time. So she created a company. Next. Grab was established in 2012 in Malaysia, and it is a leading mobile application in Southeast Asia and provides several services such as mobility, deliveries, and digital finance services. Its headquarters now is in Singapore, and it serves almost all of the Southeast countries. And the employees, they have more than 6,000, which is a pretty huge amount. Next. And in 2017, the company earned 2.5 billion funding from SoftBank, which is a Japanese company, and DD and Next Technology Fund, a vehicle under Toyota. In order to manage this bunch of cash, it invited senior expert John Zhao from Nomura as a CFO. And to expand their service footprint, it acquired Uber Southeast businesses. And it's in a way of equity purchase, not cash purchase. So Uber owns 27.5% of Grab's shares. And it also set up a business service called Grab Food. In 2019, it earned 1.46 billion funded from SoftBank again, and the valuation is up to 14 billion, which is pretty high valuation. Next. In 2020, it has some new business service such as Grab Care for medical personnel, which provides 24-hour services for hospitals. And it is also expanded its services to GrabMart to other countries. They deliver the daily necessities such as shampoo, soap, and paper towels. And they also expand services of Grab Assistant to other countries. And that's the assistance that can help you to deliver your package to your friends, or maybe grab a cup of coffee for you. And it cooperated with Singtel, a Singapore telecommunication companies, which allowed them to do financial services in Singapore. Ultimately, it went on IPO on 2021, December 2nd. It's been 10 years they tried to grow and went IPO. I think they performed pretty good. Next. And here are some highlights in 2021. In my opinion, the company put the emphasis on road safety, and they increased more jobs. They partner with more partners, and they are very aware of the ESG issues. For example, over 680,000 people, they are merchant partners, and their drivers and merchant partners earned 8.9 billion income, a 24% increase from 2020. And they're concerned about the road safety, so the improvement is 28%. And there are 780,000 driver partners in their network. And we also can see that Forbes, the magazine, ranked it as the world's top 100 female-friendly companies, which is a good honor. As to the environment, they care about it, and they earned carbon credits and saved more than 774 million sets of single cutlery. Next. Speaking of female-friendly company, this is the chart that breaks down the distribution of female and male employees. we can see that 49% of employees are female. And we can see that the female compensation is almost equal to that of men. The ratio is 0.98. It's 2% less than perfect in terms of equal compensation. Next. As for the most updated financial performance in 2022, we can see that the revenue increased 112%, which is doubled in 2022 compared to 2021. And as well as gross merchandise value and also EBITDA is getting better. Next. And they have a pretty good outlook for 2023. We can see that the revenue still will going up and the increase rate will be 54% to 60%. And also the EBITDA is getting better and even reach the break-even point in Q4 2023. Previously, it was estimated that the time should be until the second half 2024, but it just changed. Next. So we will talk about another company called Homage. The company's co-founder and CEO is Jillian T. Zheng Bingbing. And her purpose is to start up companies are that when she came back from the United States, she faced that 3 of her close relatives were living with chronic illness. And she got a pain point of carrying them. Going through this pain point, I can tell that this is very it's a severe problem for people. Next. For example, a hip fracture. If you broke your hip and the medical part is finished, what would you do if you have to go home? And what's your care plan? And do you have any specialists? For us, that hip fracture maybe is not a big deal, but according to the research, that the annual death rate is 11.4%, which means 1 out of 10 will die. And only 15.7% received rehab. And only some, there are some patients that will encounter the second hip fracture in 1 year. So it's a pretty serious problem. Next. And let's take a look at the Homage introduction. It was established in 2017 in Singapore, and it is operated in Singapore, Malaysia, and even Australia. It raised $45 million from Golden Gate Ventures, which is a vehicle under Temasek. Temasek is fully owned by Singapore government. And the company provides care solutions, including trained care professionals with smart IT, and also provides on-demand needs for seniors. And it also helps people with chronic and terminal illnesses, such as dementia, stroke, and even cancer, Parkinson's. Next. Here are some Homage business. We can see the snapshot from the application on the right-hand side. The business includes care assessment, activities of daily living, which is ADL assistant, nursing procedures, rehabilitation services, and home medical services. Next. And they have 360 degrees of care professions, include nurse, caregivers, therapists, and doctors. And they even provide caregiver training courses. We can see it at the right side. There are courses from the basic to some very serious, severe illnesses too. And it also have more than 70% of caregivers are women. Next, talking about their services and resources, we can see that they cooperated with several health facilities, such as nursing homes, community hospitals, and family service centers. And their caregiving support includes ADL, and the ADL including bathing, toileting, dressing, feeding. You know, some elders cannot feed by themselves, and mobility. And the last is transferring. You can see that if you want to move your mom from the bed to the wheelchair to the car, and the car to the hospital, and hospital to the wheelchair again. You know, this series of movements are time and strength consuming. So it needs a lot of techniques. Next. So let's take a look at how the elderly cared in the United States. The age-friendly health system is a guide to use the 4 M's while caring for the elderly. These 4 pillars represent knowing and aligning care with seniors, and to be aware of their medication, their prescription, and also their moods, whether they have depression, and also ensure that they move safely every day. So these 4 M's are very important. Next. Except for creating IT platforms, some women will use social media and AI to create their business. Some will give talks about health information via TikTok. For instance, Dr. Daniel Jones, a famous OBGYN, she talks about women's health issue via TikTok, and the video gains around 480,000 likes and so many comments. And also, MIT students try to use AI for endometriosis forecasts. Last October, more than 70 MIT students and alumni stand for women's health and concerned about gynecology disorders. Next. Well, above, I shared 2 stories of 2 female entrepreneurs who established a good IT platform to solve female safety and healthcare problems. From the presentation, we can see that their business are growing fast and create lots of female opportunities to work in the Southeast Asia. And some other women use IT tools, including social media and AI. We believe that when a Southeast Asia woman take good use of IT tools and know more about their business models and the concept of entrepreneurship, they will create more and more possibilities and even job opportunities. Therefore, they will have better economic status and equal treatment from the societies. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any feedback or comments, please feel free to email me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei, for a very great introduction to the Southeast Women's the healthcare system and also the possible entrepreneurship within the region. So right now we'll go to our Q&A section. So we have Dr. Cameron still on, Dr. Wei, and our two GIA groups. Okay, so so I will start with Dr. Cameron. So after the above talk, could you give some feedback or advice to our GIA group?
Yes, and thank you. I found it very interesting for us to be hearing about such accomplished organizations that Professor Wei presented, which are having IPOs and employing thousands of people, but realizing even companies like that start small with people having ideas in incubators and working them out. In this area of both women's health, which is also, being done, with We Room. And it's, if you remember, Virginia Woolf said writers need two things in order to create. They need a room of their own and they need money. And to think about, as you're growing your business, how do you come up with different income streams? And I found it really interesting to hear about the workshop formats, about the audio formats. I could also imagine some quite, with the beautiful artwork that you're generating on your social media and so on, even some kind of cheeky branded products, which might be quite fun for people in terms of just raising awareness about breast health. I also wanted just to congratulate you on how beautiful it all is, right? Because that's a very important part of branding and attracting customers. I guess what I'd be wondering, which we always have to ask about companies being able to grow, is like, what do you imagine as future revenue streams? You were saying that having the workshop allowed you to pay for what you're currently doing, Shaw. But if you can maybe say a little bit more about what you're thinking of doing to continue to raise money. And then I have a few comments for Ping and also your beautiful products. But maybe if I could have the We Room team say something about that in terms of building off your workshops and other ways that you can maybe have a digital piece to your business, which would allow you to grow your impact even further.
Yeah, thank you, Heather. Thanks for your questions. That's the questions we have been asking to ourselves. How do we get more revenue from our workshop or our audio lessons? Because it's quite a new service and classes for society to accept that it's a quite new way to bring your awareness of your body for women. And we are trying to approach different organizations, such as we mentioned earlier, like 立信基金会 is an NGO, organization who is also have a lot of women education and also a charity program for women. And so one of our approaching target audience is NGO and also the schools. And also we are trying to approach the age just similar to us, like the friends around us, like our women's community, to know more what we are doing right now. I think it's not quite easy for us to promote this kind of new way to raise your awareness of your breast autonomy. So I think the people joining us today online to this meeting also can bring us some new ideas or can give us some suggestions how to we introduce ourselves better when we it's quite new business to the market. So that would be great to have some ideas when we on this meeting.
Well, I hope people use the chat a little bit, because I'm sure Monica and the team would be excited with any sort of partnerships you could imagine.
Yeah.
I think as someone who also, you know, built an organization of girls' sports organizations, the question is, if you're going to try and raise money, then you need to have products. Who also, you know, built an organization. You need to have products, and you need to be able to sell them. And if that's not something that you want to do or can do, then to think of another strategy, which is more like an advocacy organization. But I think you're kind of a hybrid there. But to figure out, you know, how do you make it easier for people to share their materials? How do you invest in perhaps some, because like it's beautiful, the materials you have, both the decks and the videos and the other things you're doing. You've obviously got a great design sense, and the artist partner that you're working with is doing a beautiful job. So people are attracted to it. But to think of ways to make it more viral, right? So all internet digital companies need to think about ways that it's very inexpensive to so-called acquire a customer, right? So if you can think of different ways that people just want to share it because it's cute, or because it's provocative, or because it's important for health information. And then I think if you grow a big enough community, then just like other people who've got a large community of members, there's ways to monetize that, right? As well as thinking of, we also used to do sports workshops, first of all with kids, but then the moms wanted to come, and then we'd have like lawyer moms or doctor moms like Dr. Mandy, who wanted to network with people, and we'd be able to charge a lot of money because they earn a lot of money, right? And so you're able to have both a mix of stuff you do for people who might not have resources, as well as for other professional women who don't want to just support you with a donation, but want to have a great workshop and also think about their breast health.
Yeah.
Right. So again, that's another way to maybe think about it. But I would be try and be very purposeful about how can you share. And I'm happy again to speak to you guys at another time. But I have a few remarks also for Ping and for the great work that we saw with your manufacturing business. A lot of people are trying to do this model, right, which is like an ethical manufacturing with, again, gorgeous branding. And then there's some typical problems, which I'm sure many people have spoken to you about. One of which, as you said, is the graduation problem. You're going to have skilled staff after 2 years, and then you tell them to leave, right? Because you want them to graduate, right? But they don't want to leave, right? And they, in fact, are disincentivized to leave because they've been earning a salary and having a sense of purpose. So it's this whole question of pipeline. And any business owner will say, you know, their people are what are the most important part of their business. So having such a big turnover, those of us who work at the university and have student helpers that leave every few years, it's a huge challenge to train and to have good staff. So for you to think about, is there other factories, or that Japanese company you work with, do they have other assets where there could be a pipeline out so that they're not kind of clogging it, so that you can continue to graduate so many people? I tried different businesses with our gyms, and this was a huge problem. We couldn't graduate people, you know, and I learned how to do it in the end, but it can be an issue for a lot of businesses that their first cohort just doesn't want to go, right? Or they just kind of drop off, and it's a bad look. So I'm not sure what your team has been thinking about that, but if you've got a comment. And then the second thing is to get the right balance between your digital marketing efforts and what you're doing on site, right? Some people have been very successful creating kind of like ecotourism type experiences where they can visit the places where the stuff is made, right? So you're selling less the handbag or the shoes and more the opportunity to see ethical manufacturing, right? That's something else which seems like it's more work, but often it's better profit margin than just selling the stuff. Right. So if you do notice that there are a lot of Taiwanese tourists or Japanese tourists who are interested in learning about this, then I've seen many of these businesses actually make more money through hosting guests and providing opportunity to learn about the work that the women are doing and the contributions in the community than just selling the products. But I'd love to hear if you have any comments to that, and then I'll step back and let some other people ask some questions, which I'm sure they have.
Yeah, thank you for this feedback and the discussion. That actually the first question, that also let's say is an issue for us. Yeah, that every time that during the presentation that the sound of the student or the teachers that will ask us about this one, and we honest speaking, then we still try to find a better way for us. Yeah, because for our founders, he really his purpose to found this organization really want to set out this 2 years departure program. But after years operating our business, we found that it's not good for the sustainable business. Yeah, actually, yeah. So we are still finding another way to maintain this one, and also for the second one, yeah. And we provide actually because these years is like the past 3 years about the COVID, so there's no tourists in the Cambodia. But before the COVID, we opened our factory to all of the tourists, and sometimes we cooperate with the volunteer group from Japan and Taiwan. So when they do their volunteer in Cambodia, then they may have a small, maybe 1 day or a half day trip in our factory, and they will also go to the home, village, the home visit with our social worker together, and then they can get more chance to talk to the local people, especially our producers' family. So yeah, but yeah, we still want to expand more about our business. Yeah, then I think that is a very good idea for us, and yeah, thank you so much.
I have a question for Dr. Camaro. We both talk about financing, funding, and entrepreneurship, right? And you do mention that at the end you mentioned the gender impact accelerator. And what do you see the difference between this accelerator to other, normal accelerators?
Yes, thank you for that question. We have seen through the different research that female entrepreneurs are facing different challenges generally. Obviously, there's always going to be very elite young women from leading families where everybody else is already an entrepreneur, and all they have to do is ask their aunt for $20 million to start the company. But for the rest of us, there's often the challenges that I identified there out of some work that UN Women did, which is, again, women not getting the same access to technology as men, generally not being as competent, poorer women not having access to devices or to data, and not learning about, creating, technology-based firms that could maybe be solving problems or pain points that they're having in their lives. Women, because of the unequal pay that we have and the differences in wealth accumulation, just not having the risk, that the risk mitigation looks different for us, as it does for like standard men or men of our class, right? That it's still, again, like whatever it is, depending on the area, but I think at best it's like 84% to 100% what the men have. And then again, the culture of venture capital, right? That most entrepreneurs, as we know, are not funded through venture capital, right? There's a lot of great small businesses which were bootstrapped or through friends and family. But like if you're looking to grow, with the two huge examples you gave, were both venture-backed firms. And a lot of women are not getting access to that. So what you're seeing with some of these, like the Gender Impact Accelerator run by Impact Hub, was an opportunity, and I'm looking, Mandy can kind of chime in with the exact details, but the way they've done it in other countries is through an open application process, sponsored by a leading gender-based organization in the city, for mainly seed stage or even pre-seed stage entrepreneurs and people who, like the women we've heard from today, have a somewhat hybrid business model, and to have them explore it and to see if there is a revenue stream that could be built out to be a business. But when you look at some of the other accelerators, like the SDG accelerators that I mentioned before, those will often be also like gender topics, but also connected to like climate themes or some other technology piece, which allows them to be more obviously investable earlier on. But I think the point about having gender accelerators is that you don't have to deal with all of the macho ridiculousness, and you can instead concentrate on networking and growing your business. And then once you have done that basic work and have the confidence and awareness and answers to questions, then jump into the rough and tumble. It's also a way of honoring people who could be doing kind of very boring businesses, which might be easier to explain, but aren't actually trying to solve a social problem. So by focusing on gender, by bringing in the corporates to help fund them and be first customers, it's an opportunity for anybody, not just women, but anybody who's working on something to do with SDG 5 to get attention and to take the work forward.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I couldn't say that better than Dr. Cameron, but I also have a question for Dr. Wei. Just like Dr. Cameron was saying before, I think you emphasized and mentioned a lot about fundraising and the business model in your case companies. Can you talk a little bit more about that and give our group a little bit ideas, how to do the fundraising and how to improve their business model?
Okay, thank you, Mandy. This is very important. I mean, for the normal business, we focus on what's your business model. So just like Dr. Cameron said that you should have products or service to sell, right? So I think in the beginning, we will think that as for the business model, we will see that what's your target group, and what's your revenue sources, and what's your partnerships, and everything all together. We have 9 blocks, right? And if you answer these questions, then we will move on at whether your business model is on the right track. And after that, we will see, I mean, as a venture capitalist, we will see that whether you are saying the right thing while you're doing, you're saying that you have this kind of business model, but whether it proves that it's right. So we will see whether you have a better and better revenue streams. And gradually, if we see that the site and we'll see that you are having a good business models, we as a venture capitalist will step in to mentor you to have better businesses or better directions. And then after that, VC will say that, okay, they will start to invest from a little amount to a larger amount, and then care about your corporate governance and your income, your risks, and everything all together. And also cultivate you as a good manager in the company. And after that, everything is good, then we can recommend you to go IPO. And I don't think that IPO is the only way, but IPO, after you got public, then you get a lot of money and you can get a lot of talents and your brand's there. And after that, there are more resources come in and your company will grow faster. So this is it's a tool only, but I think it's a pretty necessary tool. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all the speakers. We are running a little late, and I know it's very late in UK and Berlin. So thank you very much. I feel we all come away with a lot valuable information on the social innovation, and there's definitely a lot more discussion and work that we can do together to advance gender equality. And I hope we can keep our conversation and the connection going after today's meeting. And so if you have any questions from our audience or from our YouTube audience, you can email us at PPSEAWA Taiwan or follow us on our YouTube channel and also Facebook, and we'll try to get back to you. Thank you again to this session's speakers. So we'll just move on to our next section. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Wei. Thank you, Dr. Cameron.
Thank you.
Ping
Bye.
Ju, Xiaohua. Thank you, Monica. Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
thank you. For the next part of our section, we will discuss how to bridge access and skill gap in digitalization, especially for women and girls in vulnerable and underserved community by policy reform and education. It's our honor to have Professor Lin Zhaoying to speak about digital opportunity and life for women with disabilities. Professor Lin has a master's degree.
Can you
Hi,
hear
Professor
me?
Lin.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Okay.
Professor
Can
Lin.
you hear my presentation? Can you hear the voice?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And let's start. Okay. And thank you for the moderators. And I'm very honored to be invited to give presentations about this topic. I think this is important issues, and I think I also benefit very much from the discussions before, because I have entered these meeting rooms earlier than I heard about this kind of discussions. And I think it's also somehow related to the topic I'm talking today. And I must say that my presentation might be a little bit boring. So as you know, the professor from the universities often not very good at making innovative presentations. So it's very traditional presentations. And okay, today, so I'm going to talk about the digital opportunities in life for women with disabilities, because this is echo to the main things of this conference about how to bring the gender equalities for women by digital. So as we know now, we are all in the digital eras, and it has changed our life a lot, as well as all kind of peoples. And today, I will focus on specific groups of women, because I more specialized in the disability studies. And I found that not many literatures about the disabled women. So then today I just want to focus on these issues. And so I want to relate the digital issues as well as women with disabilities. So, and then please next page. Oh yeah, okay. So this is the outline of my presentation. So it's a very traditional presentations. So first I will talk about the backgrounds and I survey some legal regulations and some surveys. I would like to focus on the digital exclusions of women with disabilities. And I also find some surveys about the digital life of women with disabilities in Taiwan. And then I will draw a little bit some conclusions. And next, please. Next page. Okay. So I just read my PowerPoint. So I want to find these questions that I found that the rights of women with disabilities have often been overlooked by either gender activists or disability activists. So, but women with disabilities have frequently suffered from double disadvantage in comparison with their male counterparts or non-disabled counterparts. But nowadays and recently, the rights of women with disabilities have been addressed by the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the so-called CRPD, so which has passed in 2006. In the United Nations. And in Taiwan, both CEDAWs, I think most of you are very familiar with CEDAWs. Both CEDAWs and CRPD have been recognized by the government in Taiwan in 2012 and 2014 respectively. So that means that the several government measures have been adopted and the national reports have been seriously reviewed by the international experts. So next. And so then I just want to start from the legal regulations about the women with disabilities, both in terms of CRPD and the CEDAW. So in the CRPD Article 6, they have special articles about women with disabilities. It specifies that the state parties recognize that women and girls with disabilities are subject to multiple discriminations, and in this regard shall take measures to ensure the full and equal enjoyment by them of all human rights and fundamental freedoms. And state parties should take all appropriate measures to ensure the full development, advancement, and empowerment of women for the purpose of guaranteeing them the exercise and enjoyment of the human rights and fundamental freedoms set out in the present conventions. So the next, please. And now I just look at the CEDAW, the UN Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. And I found that it doesn't include any articles regarding women with disabilities. So that means this article didn't address very much about the issues of disabilities. And therefore, I recently found that in the United Nations, they have published documents because they found after the passage of CRPDs, and they found the intersection issues of CEDAW and CRPDs. So they publish studies like the intersection of the CEDAW and CRPDs, which has been studied in 4 Asian countries. And if you have this PowerPoint, you can click it, and then you will see the documents. Maybe I don't know whether the person can help me to show this document, or maybe later. So I think I put the link with this document. So and everybody can also, yeah, okay, yeah, people can see that. So then you can look at for the detailed information. So and then so that's why I think the intersection issues of CEDAW and CRPD is very important. And I also look at the national reports of CEDAW and the opinions of international experts. And I found that there are some recommendations from the international experts addressing the disability issues. So then Taiwan has experienced 4 times of the review of the national reports on the implementation of CEDAW since 2009. And some recommendations from international experts were irrelevant to women with disabilities as follows. So next, please. Next page. Yeah. So there's I found I searched the keywords of disabilities. I found in the 2nd review and in the 3rd review, the IRC means the International Review Committees, have some recommendations to our government about the women with disabilities. And so the first one in 2nd reviews in 2014 says that the review committee confronts the multiple forms of discrimination experienced by women with disabilities, especially those with intellectual disabilities who suffer multiple forms of discrimination. And it is concerned that there is no comprehensive data on women with disabilities disaggregated by age, types of disability, ethnicity, rural or urban, and other relevant criteria to fully assess their situations. And the review committee recommends that the government collect data on women with disabilities disaggregated by all relevant criteria and develop a comprehensive policy and action plans based on the information collected. And in the 3rd reviews, it says that systematically collect statistical data on all forms of violence against women, disaggregate by forms of violence, age, disability, ethnicity, and relationship between the perpetrators and the victims, etc. And the IRC strongly recommends the governments to undertake a start on case of sterilization abortions, disaggregated by age, area, nationality, mental health, or disabilities. So that means the IRCs pay very much attention to the rights of women with disabilities, and they also give advice to our government. And especially, we need to collect comprehensive or sufficient data about the situations of women with disabilities. And nowadays, I can't say it's perfect, but our government did make some efforts to collect the data, and so I will present it later in this report, in these presentations. Okay, so next, please. So and come back to the issues of digital errors. Before that, we need to talk about the socioeconomic situation of people or women with disabilities. So I want to show the double disadvantage I have mentioned before. So this is also a study from International Labour Office and a Foundation of Arms about an inclusive digital economy for people with disabilities. And it says that in 2018, and 23.7% of persons with disability aged 16 to 64 were at risk of financial poverty, versus 15.3% of persons without disabilities. So that means people with disabilities are more likely to have the risk of financial poverty. And in terms of genders, in 2018, 29.4% of women with disabilities aged 16 or over were at risk of poverty versus 27.5% of men with disabilities. So, and women with disability are more likely than men to fall in poverty. And in terms of employment rate, so in 2018, the employment rate for people with disabilities was 50.8% versus 75% for people without disabilities. In 2018, employment rate for women with disabilities was 47.8% versus 54.3% employment rate of men with disabilities. So it also shows that women with disabilities are less likely to be employed. So the employment issues is also important for women with disabilities. So next, please. So I just said that related to the digital issues. So we would like to think about the digital exclusion. So sometimes what people will say digital inclusion or digital gap or digital exclusions. So now we can see a research or report published by GSMA 2020. The report is that the digital exclusion of women with disabilities. So it's really focused on the issues I'm talking today. And this is the picture is a little bit small. Yeah, but I just want to show that there is a big gap. There's a big gap between there is a gender gap between men and women, and there's another gap, disability gap between disabled persons and non-disabled persons. And for women with disabilities, they have this kind of double disadvantages. So the photos on the left-hand side is about the proportion of smartphone ownership by countries, gender, and disabilities. And the photos on the right-hand side is about the mobile internet use by gender and disabilities. So we can often see, so from this, the last paragraph of Kenya's, you see that men with the normal men, general person, I mean, it's like men who can, 43% of men can have a smartphone, but only 12% of women have only 12% of women have smartphones. Women with disabilities, sorry, only 12% of women with disability have the mobile phone, and the other kind of criteria, people just stay in between. And so, and the other way, the second paragraph is second graph is about the mobile phone internet service used by gender and disability prevalence. So we can also see the similar gap between men and women, and disabled people and non-disabled people. So this is the photo or the graphics show the gap of different types of persons. So next, please. And then, so I just want to see the digital life of women with disabilities in Taiwan. And in Taiwan, we normally conduct the survey about the digital life of general persons and people with disabilities, as well as some other specific groups of people. For example, the elderly or the Aboriginals, how they use the digital tools or the digital services. So according to the recent report in 2020, we have digital development surveys for the general public. And in 2021, we have the surveys for specific for people with disabilities. And because the reports because of the constraint of time limit in this conference, so I will only focus on two issues. The one is the accessibility and the application of internet services. I think this is quite fundamental for using these digital tools. And so in 2020, so compared to the in 2020, so 69.3% of persons with disabilities, age 12 or over, use internet versus 87.9% of persons without disabilities. So that means for the general public, there is almost 19% of persons in Taiwan can have access to internet services, but only around 70% of persons with disabilities have this kind of accessibilities to internet services. And compared to in terms of gender issues, and men with disabilities often use internet. So it's 58%, was higher than that of women, which is 51.1% using the internet. And then I found that why women didn't use internet due to the illiteracy or low level of education were about 22% in comparison with 8% for men. So then we found that there is some problems with education for women with disabilities. And then the third point is that in 2021, women with disability were less likely than men with disability to use internet for banking, browsing information, playing games, and working, things like that, apart from internet shopping and attending online courses. I found this interesting findings. So the women with disabilities are more likely to have internet shopping than men. So in the last 3 months of the surveys. So and then I think this can have some related to internet shopping, or you can also do some internet business for the women. And the next, please, next pages. So this is the conclusions. And I found that first, the intersection of gender and disability issues need more attention. So I mentioned several times. And the second is that in general, women with disability benefit less from the advancement of digital technology. And this could be due to financial problems or lower levels of education, as we have seen that illiteracy could be a barrier for using the digital services. And the third one is that, nevertheless, digital job. The third one is from the I draw from the papers from Namita Data, 5 reasons why digital work may help promote inclusion of youth with disabilities. And I found she pointed that the digital jobs can be advantages for young women with disabilities who experience additional workplace discrimination and limiting their advancement opportunities. And the fourth point is that the digital skills can also help young women with disabilities who are often homebound to access income earning opportunities through online outsourcing and e-learning. And therefore, policymakers can facilitate digital inclusion for women with disabilities in terms of accessibility and affordability of digital tools. And I found these points can could be related to the presentation in the last sections. So we are talking about the social enterprise, and we are talking about this kind of online businesses. I think this could be useful for women with disabilities. And actually, our government also encourage women with disabilities to have this kind of small business, so they can have their homemade or handmade stuff to be sold on through internet, and also they can work from home. And this could be an opportunity for increasing their employment and to make a living for themselves. And so, and the next page. Next. And so this is my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Lin, for bringing forward the challenges and the double disadvantage faced by disabled women and the much needed policy reform to achieve equity for everybody. Thank you so much. Last but not the least, we have Dr. Zheng Qijia, who will talk about teen girls' sexual question and sexual health education strategies and analysis of QA section from the government adolescent website. Dr. Chen has a PhD from Department of Education Psychology of University of Texas, and she's the Associate Professor of Department of Public Health at Furen Catholic University. She was the head of department from 2019 to 2022. She was also the president of Taiwan Associates Sexuality Education and the editor-in-chief of Formosan Journal of Sexology since 2021. Her expertise include sexuality education, health promotion, health communication, health education, curriculum design, and gender studies. Let's welcome Dr. Chen.
Thank you, Mandy. And I will show my PPT by myself, and I will share it. And this is my share. Do you want? Yes. So now my PPT is on the screen, right?
Yes. Can you put in the full screen?
Okay. The full screen. Okay, thank you very much.
Perfect.
Okay. I think it's my pleasure to have a presentation here to talk about my work. The topics, the teen girls' sexual questions and then sexual health education strategies. Actually, it's an analysis of the QS section of a government adolescent sexual health website. It is called 幸福医学院. I also put some Chinese characters on my PPT in order to be more easier to understand.
Okay, Dr. Jen, we cannot hear you. Okay, yeah, so this is part of our digital challenges, having virtual meetings. So let's wait for Dr. Jen to get back. Okay. While we were waiting, just want to thank everybody for attending our session today. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to put it in the chat, or you can email us at PPSEAWA at gmail.com. And also you can follow us on Facebook. Today's session will also be recorded and posted at our YouTube channel. If you can search PPSEAWA Taiwan, you can see today's section will be recorded and posted there. And let's see, we'll try to get back to Dr. Chang. If you are enjoying our event today, PPSEAWA International has another parallel event tomorrow on how women drive innovation in the renewable energy industry with speakers from Taiwan, Malaysia, Vienna, USA. You're more than welcome to join the event tomorrow.
Hello. Okay.
Oh, he's back. Great. Okay. Maybe we can try to run a slide here for Dr. Chang.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
I'm
hear
Dr.
you
Chen.
now.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. I was offline, but now I'm asking Sari to present my PPT. I'm not gonna present my PPT by my own. So
Okay. Yes.
okay, so Sally is showing my PPT now.
Okay.
Okay, I will finish the rest of my speech.
Yes.
Quickly.
Sorry about the internet glitches. This is the challenge we'll have to face with the virtual meetings. So
Okay.
we'll be putting up your slides.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
Yes, next page, please. The next page. Next page. Okay, now I'm starting to the QA section of the website. We have a QA section, is an interaction function for our adolescents or parents or teachers to ask questions. of course, it must be sexual health related or sexuality education related questions. And they ask questions online. And as soon as we receive the question, we will pass the question to a team of our expert, one of them. And we have a very strong expert team to answer the question. This team was composed of doctors, pharmacists, school health education teachers, psychologists, school nurses, and even college professors, and also nutritionists. So they are professionals. They are not graduate students. They are licensed. So actually, the answering team is very strong, and so this Q&A session was quite popular at that time. And over the past 3 years, we received about 1,150 questions, and 90% of them are from adolescents. Next page. And the example, we exclude some questions were from adults or irrelevant to sexuality education. We did have some questions not relevant to sexual health or sexuality. And so we excluded from analysis, and also some repeated questions. And finally, we have a 947 questions included to the content analysis, and some about 46.7% were from girls. So it's about health and health, girl and boy. Next page. And you should press the button again to let the subtopic show up. Please press the button again. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, and we classify the questions into 5 main topics. As you can see, the first one is pubertal adaptation. Second is reproductive health, and third one is intimate relationship, and the fourth one is bodily autonomy, and the fifth one is media pornography. And under each topics, we have several subtopics like the structural. The first one, the pubertal adaptation. The first one will be the structural development of the reproductive organs, and the second topics, one of the subtopic like pregnancy, contraception, and abortion, and also reproductive diseases, and also sexual behavior and sexual response. And the intimate relationship, we have like parent-child communication, a subtopic, and peer interaction, and intimacy and dating. And also bodily autonomy, we have like privacy rights, personal boundaries, and and also the other 2 subtopics. And so as you can see, the very comprehensive in content and of the questions asked by adolescents. They ask many questions. We can see there is a great need for adolescents for adolescents to seek this kind of help. They have a lot of sexual health questions or the sexual questions, and they wanted to ask. They will not ask their parents, and they will not ask their teachers, but they'll ask online. If we have a strong professional people to help them, and the website, the website was also anonymous, and their privacy was protected very properly, so they can ask questions very bravely. Next page. Okay, this is our results. This is just distribution of topics for each year. As you can see, the first one, the puberty adaptation account for the highest proportion. And the red one is girl, the girl, and the blue one is boy. So we show girl and boy on the same page, so you can see the differences between girl and boy. And the highest proportion goes to the the puberty adaptation. And the second one is the reproductive health. And the third one is the intimate relationship. And the fourth one is the body autonomy. And the last one is the medial and the poem. Okay, and then we will see each topic and we will show you some example. Next page. And the first topic is the puberty adaptation. There was 150 questions asked by girls, and you probably need to see the red one, the red bars. And the highest proportion goes to the non-masturbation. The boy asks a lot of questions about masturbation, but the girls ask a lot of questions about masturbation too, but not the first one. The biggest, not the biggest one. The biggest proportion goes to the hygiene and care, and the second one goes to masturbation, and third one goes to secondary sex characteristics and the body image. Please, next page. We will show you some example. Okay, before you read through the example, you probably will be shocked by their frank. The adolescents, when they ask questions, they are very frank and very explicit in describing their questions. They are very brave because I believe because the website and the function, the QA function, is anonymous. So adolescent can ask questions as really in their mind and really in their brain. And so it's really very frank and very explicit in describing their questions. Like for example, this is the hygiene and care. The topic is hygiene and care. And the girl asks, I'm already in my second year of a junior high school, and I'm the only girl in the class who hasn't started her period yet. And I have 1 or 2 obvious armpit and pubic hair. Will my period ever come? And the second one will be the second example, like I had my period for almost 1 year, but my menstrual cycle is still irregular. Is that normal? Okay, this is quite okay. It's not very shocking questions, but next page. This question is about masturbation. A girl who was very brave in admitting, I have been a girl who loves to masturbate since the 3rd grade of my elementary school. Actually, we were really surprised that starting from primary school, 3rd grade, girls know what masturbation was. And I had been constantly thinking about masturbating, but then I felt disgusted with myself after doing it to a certain extent. Do I have a problem? How can I stop masturbating? Okay, next page. This is the second topic, reproductive health, and the questions asked by adolescent girls and boys are also very explicit and frank. And the highest proportion goes to the pregnancy, contraception, and abortion, accounting for around 60.7%. And the second one goes to the sexual behavior and sexual response. Next page. And this is the example. I had a sex intercourse with my boyfriend. The first time we used a condom, and they described the details about the wrongness when they used the condom. We put it on the wrong way, and then I turned it over and then put it on the right way, and later, and then this girl's question is there a risk to be pregnant? And we receive many questions like this. Usually we believe it was after adolescent having sex, almost like when they ask, well, they will say like, last night we have sex, or me and my girlfriend, or me and my boyfriend have sex, or just now. So after they have sex, they no matter they use condom or not, they worried about be pregnant. So they will go online and ask questions, and our expert will answer them quickly. Like in 3 days, we must have finished the answering process. Okay, so this is about pregnancy, contraception, and abortion. The next one. Next one is the sexual behavior and sexual response. This girl admit that I have a wet dreams at night and dreaming of having sex. Now, this is the first example. And the second one is this girl felt like she wanted to have a romantic relationship. Sometimes she had the sex fantasy, include like kissing or some body touching, something like that. And then she wanted to know, is that normal for me, for this girl, to have a sex fantasy and to be eager to have romantic relationship. Next page. And this is the third topic, intimate relationship. Okay, the highest proportion goes to the intimacy and dating. Adolescents are very interested in dating, but of course they encounter many problems and questions and worries about the dating, and someone like them or someone they don't like someone, something like that. Next page. This is the example. A girl, I will turn 18 years old this September. Actually, I had my first sexual experience with my first boyfriend, but this girl was regret by doing it because I only did it. She said I only did it to prevent him from breaking up with me, and so we think this. And later on, the girl asks about her second boyfriend and when they have sex, and she is really worried about whether or not she will get pregnant. But we think this is not the pregnant problem. It's not pregnant questions. It's not only knowledge about whether or not she will get pregnant, but also the relationship with her boyfriend, with the boy, with a boys or two boys or other boys. It seems that sex behavior for her actually is not really like make decision by herself. She lost her autonomy. She did the sexual behavior, sexual intercourse with her boyfriend, just wanted to prevent him breaking up with the boy. So we think her questions is not only whether she know how to prevent pregnancy, but actually more importantly, whether she know how to maintain or establish equal and good quality relationship with a boy or people like she like. So this is the point that we wanted to tell her. Next page. This is also the peer interaction, like also not only the dating, but also peer interaction. A boy liked her and annoyed her. And actually, I believe she was in kind of danger when the boy went to her and asked her whether she didn't want to see him and something like that. And her friends kind of leave her alone to deal with these problems by her own self. And actually, it's very dangerous and it's very it's not good. So we tell her through this the question that she asks to how to maintain a good relationship, not a good relationship, how to not maintain, but how to establish a good relationship that is qualitative and that is caring and that is equal. Next page. And this this is a gender issue, the sexual orientation issue. Okay, we received some quite a lot of questions about their sexual orientation questions. So this is one of them. Next page. This is actually okay. Next page. Because the time I want to keep it short. Okay, this is body autonomy. Next page. Next page. Actually, there is some sexual or exploitation we saw from our questions, this kind of a risky situation, dangerous situation. It talked about the girl, and she entered into a lie group, and she lied about her ages because she wanted to make money, and the people inside the lie group told her that it is legal to make money like this, but you must say you have over 16 years old. And later, some people asked her to take off her clothes and wanted to take a photo of her chest, but luckily the girl didn't do it. But she felt really terrified, so she came to ask questions. Next page. Okay, this discussion. I think, as you can see, adolescents are very care about their sexuality. They are starting to understand their sexuality. They have very comprehensive sexual questions. Okay, very many different kind of questions, and they are worried and they are anxious, but they are frank. They are explicit in describing their question, which is good, and so they really need a trustworthy and reliable sources and counseling opportunity or consultation opportunity to answer their questions. And when answering their questions, we support them and show empathy toward them and give them some warm words. And also we not only answer questions related to knowledge, but also we will point out some points that to teach adolescents how to identify risk, or how to identify a relationship which is good or not, and also how to refuse or escape from a bad or risky relationship. Next page. And so a privacy protected website or any resources that protect adolescents' privacy. I think encourage girls, especially girls, because girls are not encouraged to talk about sex that much. So they really need resources. They can ask questions bravely, like online consultation function, or even telephone, something like that. So, okay. The second one is similar. Okay, this is the resources. I think I run out of time, so I will not show the resources, our media, the health education material that we did. Some of them I think is very good, but I think my presentation is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jin. We'll share your resources on our Facebook website, if that's okay. And
Yes.
because we're running out of time. So I think we have, I just have a question about, I know we heard from your and also Dr. Lin's presentation. We can see the benefit of digitization and technology for adolescents and also for women with disability. But how do we increase the access to them? And like, there's so much information out there. How do we guide them to the right information?
Okay. Okay. In order to promote the website at that time, we actually the government helped us a lot, because the government suggest all schools from elementary to high school to put this website on their school homepage. So students, parents, teachers can enter into the website from their school website to enter into this e-garden website from their school website. This is a way that this website get familiar with the teachers and adolescents and parents. So with the help from our government, I think it's very helpful. And also, when we have a different kind of speech and our team members, and when we talk about, we have a chance to talk about, to make a speech in public, we will introduce this website to them. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Jen, and all our speakers and attendees for participating in our event today. We hope everyone bring home new information about using information, innovation, and technology for gender equality. And we'll continue to work together to empower women and girls. Thank you very much. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jen. Thank you, Dr. Lin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you enjoyed today's event, we have another event by PPSEAWA International tomorrow on how women drive innovation to renewable energy industry with speakers from Taiwan, Malaysia, Vienna, and USA. So please join the event tomorrow. Thank you again for joining us. We wish everyone has a very successful CSW. Thank you. Bye-bye.